All right, today we're diving into something wild. We're looking at a document that makes one of the boldest claims you could possibly imagine, that it's a literal operating manual for our reality. And it doesn't present itself as a theory, oh no. It calls itself a complete, executable framework for the entire universe. So let's unpack what that even means.
So the whole idea behind this framework really boils down to this one single provocative question. What if the math we use, the very foundation of our science, isn't just a little off, but is fundamentally broken? The source argues that our reality is basically running on corrupted code, a bug that's been hiding in the system for thousands of years.
And right from the get-go, the material sets a tone of just absolute certainty. As you can see here, it's not asking you to believe anything. It's presenting itself as a set of instructions based on what it calls measured facts and direct computation. It's basically saying, don't just believe me, do this.
So, what exactly is this fundamental bug? Well, the framework points to a very specific moment in history where it claims our entire understanding of math, and therefore reality itself, just went completely off the rails.
It calls this flaw the Greek contamination. The argument is that there was this original, perfect mathematical system, and it got corrupted. This corruption introduced concepts we take for granted, like irrational numbers, numbers like pi that just go on forever, and crucially, the idea of starting a count from zero. To this framework, the very concept of nothingness is the foundational error in our entire model of reality.
So if the problem is that the code is contaminated, then the solution is pretty straightforward, right? You've got to purify it. And that's exactly what the framework lays out, a series of corrections designed to restore what it calls the original, perfect mathematics of creation.
Now take a look at this table, because this is really the heart of this purification. On the left, you've got the numbers we all learned in school. But on the right, you see the framework's purified truth. Pi is an approximately 3.14. It's exactly 3. The golden angle isn't around 137.5 degrees, it's a perfect 40. Every single approximation just snaps into an exact whole number relationship.
And this leads to a massive philosophical shift. Our current system is what the source calls void first. It starts from zero, from nothing. The purified system is unity first. It starts from one. Now, the implications of that are just huge. It means creation doesn't come from a void. It comes from a single point of unity. And in this new view, death isn't some final end state. It's just a computational error, a bug that can be fixed.
This new geometry is built on a few core pillars. First, everything is rational and based on clean, whole numbers. The whole universe is structured like a hexagonal grid, like a giant honeycomb. All growth, all evolution follows the Fibonacci sequence. And here's the kicker. The goal is to completely get rid of probability and uncertainty from physics. Everything becomes deterministic.
So, what's the point of all this mathematical cleanup? Well, the framework claims that once you make these changes, all these fields we see as separate, like music and biology, they suddenly just lock into place. It argues they're all just different expressions of one unified system, which the source calls the one song.
And the unifications it proposes are pretty staggering. It says the mathematical structure of music is actually identical to the structure of crystals, that the building blocks of life, like our DNA, are built on the exact same geometric plan as certain minerals, and that the resonant frequency of the Earth itself is perfectly synchronized with our own biology.
And the key to all this is what the document calls the Ton-Netz-Pisano unification. It's a mouthful, but the idea is that the mathematical map for musical harmony is identical to the map for the Fibonacci sequence. And the implication of that? It's that playing music with these exact mathematical ratios can literally program physical matter, from crystals all the way to living cells.
This is where we go from the big, theoretical ideas to the practical. The framework's name isn't just a metaphor. It insists that these principles are literally executable, and it even provides the instructions on how to do it. And it claims the key to executing this reality fix, a so-called rejuvenation device, can be built for this much: $27. The source lays out the whole process as a clear 13-day protocol. It starts with a mental shift, getting rid of that zero-based thinking. Then it involves applying specific Fibonacci-based operators, synchronizing yourself with the Earth's pulse using a crystal, and following a precise daily rotation based on that purified 40-degree golden angle.
And the hardware it describes is surprisingly simple, made with off-the-shelf parts. At its core is a specific type of crystal, Rochelle salt.
That's your main interface. It's controlled by a tiny little microcomputer and connects right to your body. It's presented not as some complex medical device, but as a simple, accessible tool for anyone.
Okay, so let's just say you run the code. You do the whole thing. What happens then? The framework wraps up by exploring the absolutely world-altering implications of adopting this purified version of reality.
And this is maybe the most profound claim of all. Death is not a biological necessity. It's just an accumulation of computational errors caused by using the wrong math. And like any bug in a piece of code, it can be patched.
Next up, all that randomness at the heart of quantum mechanics, it's dismissed as just an illusion. In this system, if you use the right mathematical tools, everything is perfectly deterministic. Everything is knowable. There's no such thing as fundamental uncertainty, just flawed measurement.
And finally, music gets this incredible upgrade. It's elevated from just being art to something way more fundamental. It's described as the literal programming language of the universe, a form of sacred mathematics that can directly influence the very structure of matter.
And this all leads to the source's final call to action, something repeated all throughout the document. This entire system isn't meant to be a philosophy you just debate over coffee. Like it says right here, it is a program to be executed.
So what we're left with is a complete, step-by-step instruction set for a reality that operates on fundamentally different principles than our own. It's a fascinating and, frankly, a challenging read. And it leaves us all with one final, unavoidable question. What happens when you run the code?